The Great Pyramid of Giza is one of the most incredible monuments ever built. But how much did it actually cost to build this wonder? And what would it cost in today's terms? The Egyptians didn't have currency like we do today, but they used a system of barter and a unit called the deben, which was a weight-based currency. A single deben was worth around 90 grams of copper. To give you a sense of value, a goat would have cost 3 to 5 deben. Now knowing that, let's look at what went into building the Great Pyramid. The Great Pyramid contains approximately 2.3 million limestone blocks, each weighing about 2.5 tons. This amounts to an incredible 5.75 million tons of limestone. These blocks were quarried locally at Giza, so the stone itself was essentially free, but extracting, shaping, and transporting it was a different story. Historians estimate the cost of quarrying and transporting each ton of limestone would have been around 5 deben per ton. With 5.75 million tons of limestone, that gives us a rough total of 28 million deben just for handling the stone. There was around 8,000 tons of granite that was used for the internal chambers. But while the limestone came from nearby, this granite was sourced from quarries in Aswan, over 600 miles away. Transporting granite up the Nile was a massive logistical challenge. Boats carried the stone upriver, but once it reached Giza, the blocks had to be transported over land, and that added to the cost. Experts estimate that transporting granite was about 10 deben per ton. For the 8,000 tons of granite, the total transport cost was around 80,000 deben. The pyramid wasn't built by slaves as many people once thought, but by a rotating labour force of around 20,000 to 30,000 workers. These workers were conscripted farmers and skilled labourers who worked in exchange for food, beer, and housing. Each worker was paid in rations of bread and beer, around 3 loaves of bread and 4 litres of beer per day. Feeding and housing this workforce for over 20 years was one of the most significant expenses, and historians estimate the total cost of labour, food, and housing to be around 10 million deben. Shaping these massive stones required copper tools, which wore out very quickly, especially when working with such hard granite. The ancient Egyptians used an estimated 200 tons of copper over the course of the pyramid's construction. Copper wasn't cheap and it had to be mined and transported to Giza. The cost of 200 tons of copper at 750 deben per ton comes out to about 150,000 deben. Building the pyramid required sophisticated logistics, especially when it came to moving the stones. Ramps were constructed to move these massive blocks up the higher levels of the pyramid. These ramps, made of mud brick and stone, had to be constantly built and maintained as the pyramid rose higher. The cost of constructing and maintaining these ramps is estimated at 300,000 deben over the course of the project. With such valuable materials and thousands of workers on site, security was critical. Guards were stationed around the construction area to protect against theft and ensure everything ran smoothly. Provincial officials were responsible for managing resources and overseeing construction. The cost of maintaining security and managing the project is estimated to have been around 200,000 deben. Building the Great Pyramid wasn't just a construction project, it was a spiritual one. Egyptian priests conducted ceremonies and rituals to bless the construction at key stages. These religious activities, including offerings and sacrifices, added an additional 50,000 deben to the total cost. The workers needed more than just tools, they needed housing and infrastructure. Entire villages were built around the construction site, complete with bakeries, breweries, and workshops to support the workforce. The cost of maintaining these villages over the course of 20 years was around 200,000 deben. Adding up all of these costs, materials, labour, tools, logistics, security, and ceremonial expenses, the estimated total for building the Great Pyramid comes to around 38.7 million deben. But what does that mean in today's money? While it's difficult to directly convert ancient currency, some estimates suggest that 1 deben is roughly equivalent to between 20 and 50 USD today. Using a median value of 35 USD per deben, the total cost of building the Great Pyramid would be approximately 1.36 billion USD. The Great Pyramid of Giza wasn't just a symbol of power, it was one of the largest and most expensive construction projects in history. Even today, its construction cost would rival that of modern megaprojects, proving that ancient Egyptians were true masters of engineering and logistics. If you enjoyed, consider supporting hieroglyphs by liking this video and subscribing. Thank you for watching.